Hey guys, I hope you guys are healthy and I hope that you guys are having a great day. So, for today's class, our group, which is the first group, are going to be doing a presentation about dependent clauses. But before we start, I'm going to be introducing our group members, starting from me, Nadiva, and then Subhan Fathur, and then Gustita Gatari, and then Muhammad Fatih, and then Ryan Moses, and then Sabita Rahma, and our last group member, Fatihah Jihar Aulia. I hope you guys enjoy our presentation. Let's get started.
Hello, good afternoon. In this video, we from Group 1 will present dependent clause material on English 2 courses mastered by Mr. Rahmawan Jatmiko. Okay, get me started. First, I will explain the definition of dependent clause. So, what is a dependent clause? A dependent clause or subordinate clause is a clause or groups of words that contain subject and verbs but cannot express a whole thought. This happens because this English clause is preceded by a word or subordinate the clause's meaning to hang, so it cannot stand alone as a complete sentence. A dependent clause must be combined with independent clauses to make them meaningful or understandable. The combination of an independent clause and a dependent clause results in a complex sentence.
In this section, I will explain what makes the clause dependent. As previously told by my friend, dependent clause has lack of meaning, and the lack of meaning in the dependent clause is caused by dependent marker words such as if, when, while, after, although, and so on, which placed in the beginning of the clause. And then, the dependent clause also has three types, which will be explained by my friends.
Okay, in this section, I will explain to you about a type of dependent clause. First is adjective clauses, which is also called a relative clause, a type of dependent clause that acts as an adjective in the sentence and always comes right after the nouns or pronouns they modify. Adjective clauses are beneficial to writing in that they make writing both more concise and more descriptive. An adjective clause usually begins with a relative pronoun, which, that, who, whom, whose, a relative adverb like where, when, why, how, whatever, or a zero relative. There are two basic types of adjective clauses. The first type is non-restrictive or non-essential adjective clause. This clause simply gives extra information about the noun and doesn't require commas. The second type is the restrictive or essential adjective clause. It offers essential information and is needed to complete the sentence, though, and require commas because they give additional information to a specific subject.
Okay, so now we're going to look at adverb clauses, and these types of dependent clauses act as adverb and tell us something about the information that is in the main or independent clause. And just like noun and adjective clauses, what does an adverb clause do or how does it work? Well, actually it works like an adverb. And what does it do? It shows our relationship. And what is the relationship between? Okay, it's very important to remember that a dependent clause is always joined to an independent clause or to the other dependent clause. It never stands by itself, right? So, an adverb clause has a relationship with whatever clause it is attached to, usually the dependent clause. Okay, so what kind of relationship? Well, here are some examples. There's our conditions like if, unless, and there's reason like because, since, as, there's time like when, since, until, before, after, while, as soon as, and there's purpose like in order to, and so that, and last but not least, there's concessions like to, so, even though, while, and whereas. Okay, and that's all from adverbial clauses.
I'm Sabita and I will explain about the last type of dependent clause, which is noun clause. A noun clause is a dependent clause that takes the place of any noun in the sentence, whether they are subjects, objects, or subject complements. If you're not sure whether a clause is a noun clause, try replacing it with other nouns or pronouns. If a dependent clause can stand in for a person, place, or thing, then it's a noun clause. Next is how to spot a noun clause. Because noun clauses can appear almost anywhere in a sentence, they can be tricky to spot. One of the easiest ways to spot a noun clause is to look for these words. First is how, then that, when, where, whether, why, what, which, who, whom, whatever, whichever, whoever, and whomever. While this word can be found in clauses other than noun clauses almost start with one of these words. They're another clue to finding a noun clause in a sentence.
Hello guys, on this part, I'm going to show you some examples of dependent clause. Here are two examples of dependent clause as adjective clause. First one, the book that you recommended to me has sold out. On this sentence, the dependent clause is that you recommended to me. Second one, Yogyakarta is the city where I was born. On this sentence, the dependent clause is where I was born. And here are a couple of examples of dependent clause as adverbial clause. First one, I'm hungry because I haven't eaten yet. On this sentence, the dependent clause is because I haven't eaten yet. Second one, after he arrived at the hospital, he started to run immediately. On this sentence, the dependent clause is after he arrived at the hospital. And here are a couple of examples of dependent clause as noun clause. First one, I don't know why he did that. On this sentence, the dependent clause is why he did that. Second one, the fans are angry about what the team is doing. On this sentence, the dependent clause is what the team is doing.
Hi, I'm Nadiva and I'm going to be presenting some of the examples from IELTS Academic Reading Sample Task Text. So these sentences are some of the examples that I got from the IELTS website, and these are academic reading sample task text. And now we'll be identifying the dependent clauses in the sentences. So now for the first example, we'll be identifying the clause that reads as a researcher and her historical empathy as a dependent clause. Why is that? It is because that in the beginning of this clause, there's a word as that is identified as a dependent marker word that makes this clause a dependent clause. And then for our second example, we'll be identifying the first clause that reads because her father lost his savings through bad investment as a dependent clause. Why is that? Because we got the word because that is identified as a dependent marker word. The same goes to the third example that got the word because in the second clause that makes the clause that reads because it's an evolutionary novel as a dependent clause.
That is all for our presentation. I hope you guys enjoy our video. Have a great day. Stay healthy. Thank you guys. Bye.